United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sarah, roll call.
Councilmember Campbell. Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Keith.
Here.
Councilmember Frable. Here. Councilmember Rain.
Here.
Councilmember Balky.
Here.
Councilmember Campbell did make us aware that he unfortunately had to stay late for work this evening, so he will not be able to make the meeting. I will leave that up to you guys if that's something that you would like to make a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to excuse.
Councilmember Jones has properly made the motion with Councilmember Rain providing the second. Sarah, roll call.
Councilmember Jones.
Yes.
Councilmember Keith.
Yes.
Councilmember Frable. Yes. Councilmember Rain.
Yes.
Councilmember Balky.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you, guys. All right, we will start with public comment tonight, and it looks like we have one guest on our audience tonight. Delbert, is there anything you would like to address? All right, well,
I
thank you.
missed too much.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll move right along into our department reports, and looks like our fire report, Chief Rocky was unable to make it tonight, so we'll catch up with him during the next meeting. Police, looks like Chief Enlow, unless you guys have anything. Yep, Chief Enlow.
Negative.
I know he's been traveling back and forth to Columbus. Actually, I think he was out today. He took the day off, so we will certainly catch up with both of those entities at the next meeting. Travis, I'll come straight to you for utilities.
Okay, sewer and water, they've been working on all of the reporting needs that they need to do with the EPA, so that's been taking a good bit of their time. Also, we're getting ready, of course, for next week for the start of the streetscape project, so we'll have all hands available for that. We do have, I think, a lot of the inventories being moved in. We've made a space for all the construction workers to park there at the Public Works compound, so that we're not taking up any parking spaces away from customers who will need to access those for businesses and for court and everything like that. So next week will be the first week of the construction, and the north half will be closed. There have been questions about the post office and how that's going to be accessed. You will be able to access the post office from the north side. We're closing Apple there right at Grant, so you will be able to pull in there on the end of the post office and access from there. So, and then I know that the Grant Association has a group of school-age kids coming later in the month, so they're coordinating that with Structure Point Ferguson to make sure that they have safe access down the hill for that event. But yeah, things will be starting next week. So let's see, streets, they've been working on cemetery cleanup, spring cleanup around there, stocking up on gravel. They've been patching potholes, still waiting for the plants to open up for asphalt, so we'll do some bigger repairs once that happens. We hauled in ball field dirt for the ball diamonds. We're going to be adding some trash cans in the back area there. We need some more trash cans. We've had calls about that. And then they've been doing some ditch work. We did find out this week that Jurgensen is going to have a good bit of grindings that they won't be wanting, so we're going to take most of those and try to patch the hill that goes down to Possum Hollow there, because that's pretty steep and gravel just washes out, so hopefully this will pack in over the summer and make a much better drive for that. I think that covers everything for that.
I did have a question. Somebody approached me about the restrooms at the park. Are they open all the time, or how do we do that?
Yeah, during the summer months, they're open 24 hours.
Okay. All right.
We may, I mean, I know we've had some issues with vandalism, so we may have to look at closing them in the evening, but that would require calling somebody back in every evening.
Okay. Somebody just said they were locked on one of the recent weekends during,
Well, it's still early in the season. I think they have them open now, but we're still running the risk of freezing weather. But yeah, I think because we have had a lot of warm weather, they were going to go ahead and open them, but I think there were some repairs, so it may have just been while they were making the
Yeah.
repairs.
okay.
Is there any cameras over there from?
So we were hoping to get Wi-Fi in the park and then install cameras, but we found out recently that there are no plans for commercial Wi-Fi for the rollouts that are being done. So we're looking at some different cellular options to bring in, because we need them.
Alright. Any additional questions for Travis? Alright, thank you. Alright, section 5.1, looks like we have our regular session meeting minutes from February 26th, so take a look at those in your packet. If there are any changes or edits, we will certainly entertain that, and then when ready, we'll certainly entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Councilmember Bakke has made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second provided by Councilmember Jones. Tara, roll call.
Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
Councilmember Keith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pringle,
Yes.
Councilmember Ring,
Yes.
Councilmember Bakke.
Yes.
Alright, thank you guys. Motion passes. Section 5.2, approval of March 12th meeting minutes, and those again are in the packet. Same thing applies. If there are any changes, edits, let's talk about it. If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Councilmember Bakke has made the motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Second provided by Councilmember Ring. Tara, roll call.
Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
Councilmember Keith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pringle, yes. Councilmember Ring,
Yes.
Councilmember Bakke.
Yes.
Alright, motion passes. Thank you. Alright, and then finally in the packet, there is an ordinance that we need to go through, and our president is out tonight, so Councilmember Bakke, section 5.3, can you read that ordinance by title?
An ordinance repealing the ordinance 1401 and amending and adopting in their entirety chapters 50, 51, 52, 53 for the Village of Georgetown Municipal Utility Ordinance.
This is a first reading for
Oh,
this.
thank you. Alright, any additional information, Travis, for the group?
So yeah, as we've talked, we knew that we would have to adjust the capacity fee for this next increase in capacity fees that we're seeing coming into the village. So we've looked at that. I've tried to wait as long as I could to do this so we could have as up-to-date numbers as we can. But we have been losing a substantial amount of money for the first year. We implemented the 1.3 cent per kilowatt hour as a trial, and as we were hoping we would see a decrease after that it would just be a blip and it would go back down. That's not been the case. So, I am proposing that we go to 2.3 cents per kilowatt hour. That will bring us up to nearly a break even on the cost for the capacity. Obviously, we'll adjust that, annually moving forward. Next year, it won't be much of an adjustment. Hopefully, by next year, we'll have 2 more auctions, and maybe we'll see that it's starting to come back down. That's certainly not the case at this point.
And Travis, I know that those of us up here probably understand very well the capacity fee, but for those viewers at home, can you give us a 60-second definition of what capacity fee is?
So, the energy prices that we pay, that everybody pays, big, little, Village of Georgetown, anywhere, it's made up of 3 main costs. The first is the actual cost of the power. The second is the transmission cost, getting that power to us. And the third aspect, it's in fluctuation now because of all the increased usage from data centers, plus the transition to green energy. There's been a tightening of the market. So when we talk about purchasing capacity, we're committing, it's supposed to be 3 years in advance. We're saying we're gonna need, as a village, we're gonna need a certain amount of power. And you pay for that ahead of time so that it's there for you when that time comes. So that market has really increased. You know, we've gone from, as I pointed out, about 100,000 a year in total capacity cost to over $1 million a year in capacity cost. So it's been quite a whirlwind. Everybody's dealing with the same capacity market. You know, whether you're Duke or us, it's all affecting the customer equally. So this is something that we're all dealing with. It's not just a Georgetown problem. It's a United States problem. So yeah, that's where we are.
Thank you, Travis, I appreciate that.
What generated those auctions for that price to just skyrocket?
Well, the main thing was that we're phasing out coal plants, we're phasing out natural gas, and we're replacing them with wind and solar in a lot of cases. And those are good for certain times of the year, certain times of the day. But, you know, in the middle of winter at midnight, we're not getting any solar. So that's forced, even though we're replacing, you know, a megawatt with maybe a megawatt and a half, it doesn't really equal that. So there's a tightening on the market. There's just not enough available. And when there's not enough available, the prices, it becomes competitive and the auction prices go up. You know, that was the final straw that Moscow ended up closing because they were priced out of the market because of the capacity.
Good question. Are there other questions?
When will that 2.3 cents go into effect?
That'll be for the June billing, so when the bills go out in June.
Okay. And the difference, so everybody knows at home, is we're at 1.3 now. In June, we'll be at 2.3.
2.3
So it's going up 1 penny
Yes, per kilowatt.
per kilowatt.
Yeah, and you know, we've talked about in the past ways of how to mitigate that. You know, there is a program where, through AMP, where we can supply smart thermostats to homes. We would pay for that. And then the way that would work is, say on those days when we think there's gonna be a peak event where we could potentially hit that peak, and that's what our load is based on, our capacity. AMP would take control of the thermostats in the afternoon, cool the houses down maybe 4 or 5 degrees cooler than normal. Then they would turn the thermostat off during that peak time. So, you know, that takes buy-in by the public. You know, the public can override those if there's a necessity, so it's not total control. So that's something to consider. I'm not sure we would save money, we might break even, but it would help our overall capacity if enough people did something like that.
I would think the pushback from the public would be,
Yeah, I'm not sure we're ready for that.
they don't want government in their house.
Well, I don't know.
Yep.
Well, I'd also say it's probably a technology, it's gonna be a technology thing for some people.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, I've heard a lot about new pipeline and new gas generation happening in Ohio. If that was to take off and do well, could we see a potential drop or at least a level off period in the next couple of years if we get gas and oil and coal rolling again? Would that, or could that help
It could.
us here?
Yeah, we will still need new power plants built to use the coal and oil, because they've closed so many of these down, they're shut.
Mhm.
So it's not an overnight fix, no matter
No.
what happens. But yeah, everything we do will eventually fix the problem.
Good questions. Any additional questions? All right, again, that was a first reading, and if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to Travis in the meantime. All right, section 5.4, we have a resolution, and let's let's see, Councilmember Blackie, can you read that by title?
Resolution approving then and now certificates.
Thank you. Travis, coming back to you.
So yeah, these, you have to do it in and now when you don't get the purchase order in before, the invoice comes. We had an issue, as you know, we talked last month for the permanent appropriations, we increased the appropriations to cover the cost of this pass-through for the grant for the streetscape and visitor center. So we had that in place, but the way this works, when, the contractor does work, they submit the invoice to Ross County. Ross County and our engineer approves it, then it comes to us. So it came to us with a date that was, a week past, so we hadn't created those purchase orders yet. So now we have to do it then and now to approve these so that we can pay those first rounds of expenses. Going forward, we'll have the purchase order in place and it won't be an issue. So this is just the first pay apps for these streetscape and the inspection services for structure plan.
Fantastic. Any questions?
So it's nothing to do with anything that our fault, it was just it got to us and it was already late.
Yeah, it's just this convoluted grant mechanism. It's not normal, but it's just how it is.
All right.
Is that money that comes directly from the grant though, that covers that?
Yeah, it comes to us, so it goes to Ross County for approval, or Ross County issues a check to us because they're the main grant holder.
They.
The money comes through our books, so then we have to have a purchase order
Okay.
to pay it. So we've received the checks, we've paid them, but now we just need it then and now to make it right in the system.
Paper trail.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, if there's no additional questions, I certainly could entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Councilmember Jones has made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, provided by Councilmember Keith. Tara, roll call.
Councilmember Jones, sorry.
Yes.
Councilmember Keith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pringle,
Yes.
Councilmember Rain,
Yes.
Councilmember Balky.
Yes.
All right, motion passes, and that's resolution number
1438, 1438.
1438, guys. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right, so it looks like we are moving on in the agenda. As you scroll down, you'll see the payment listing. Wait a minute. Yes, I apologize. Yes, section 6.1. You'll see the bank reconciliation, cash summary by the funds. So they've provided a quarter-end report of where we are. So take a look at those, and as you're looking through those, if there are any questions, we certainly can entertain those now. You'll also see in the packet the mayor's court report in there too as well, and you'll see your zoning report provided by Mike Click. I'll give you just another minute to look at that. And again, if there are any questions, please let us know.
Is the line for core and main, is that supplies for underground utility stuff? Core and main?
Yeah, core main is water.
Okay.
It could be water or sewer. but
Yeah. Pipe.
All right, we're gonna continue on. However, if there are any questions that are outstanding over any of the reports, you can always reach out to Travis, and Travis can reach out to Greg if he can't answer it. So certainly do not hesitate to reach out. All right, we will continue on the agenda and we will go into roundtable, and Councilmember Jones, I will start with you.
The only thing I had was, I know, previous councils in previous years, when it started to get like in the summer months, that, there was times that we'd have one meeting a month, and I was just kind of curious on that, if that was something that we would entertain or not. Not really sure, but I thought I'd bring it up as we are approaching the summer months here pretty soon. It'll be here for you now.
I think I'll throw it out there. It seems like we're pretty busy anymore. I think one of the things that we try to do, and we missed it maybe last meeting, or maybe there was one item that was pressing, but we try to evaluate the meetings ahead of them to make sure we're not just coming for a 15-minute meeting, one item. So I think, and Travis, you may have a better perspective. Those might have been the good old days, but if there's not a need for a meeting, we're certainly trying to stay ahead of that and do a better job, make sure we're not here for just a 15-minute meeting, but sometimes there's something that, an appropriation or something that we have to have, and we all have to come for that, but it seems like, in my opinion, of being around, as long as I've been around, it seems like we're a lot busier now than we used to be, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's a really good thing. But Travis, any perspective there?
Well, I would love to think that this streetscape is going to go so smoothly that we won't have anything so but I'm not sure that that'll be the case.
Yeah,
April Fool's was last week.
Yeah.
yeah. So, we'll just stay in tune with that. What else, Jeremy?
That's it?
Alright, Councilmember Keith, anything for the group tonight?
I actually have a question, and I might have missed it in there. 2 meetings ago, there was a young man that came forward with the Eagle Scouts, I believe. Is that Mike Horn's son?
Owen Horn?
Yes.
I was wondering if I could get a hold of him somehow, or if that project has already started. 'Cause
Yeah, it's well underway.
It is?
They've been doing a
Okay.
bit of work on it.
Oh, okay, that's good. I have some things I could offer him, some help, but I didn't know how far along he was, or if he's getting it taken care of, that's good, but I was just wanting to offer my
It
help.
sounds like they have a good number of people working on
Okay.
it.
Okay,
We've delivered a couple of loads of gravel now, and
okay,
we got him the culvert that he needed, so.
good, good.
Jay, I do have his mom's phone number.
Okay.
I can get that to you.
Okay,
Reach out.
Never know, might
Yeah,
have
I would-
something they need.
I would like that, okay. And you already touched on the cameras, I'm glad you said something about maybe in the future,
Yeah, we're looking at
cameras in the
that
park
sooner or later.
somehow, or start that whole process, that would be great, because it seemed like there was a lot of action in the last couple of weeks in the park, so. Porta pots being tipped over and whatever, so that would be great. But other than that, I think it's it.
Thank you. Alright, Councilmember Pringle, anything for the group tonight?
Nope.
Councilmember Rain?
Yeah, 2 or 3 things. Question about, on Old 68, there's not a there's a speed limit, there's not a
Oh,
corporation limit sign. Somebody asked me about it, and I said, well, you sure there's not one there? So I had to drive out and look, and evidently there has been one there. Has it been removed? Was it vandalized? But I know there's not one there now, so they asked about that. And if we could get one there, I didn't know whether it was removed because it had been vandalized a few times or whatever. Also about widening the park road on the back entrance.
Yeah, that's something that is certainly on the list for completion, but I'm not sure when that'll happen. I mean, we'll probably try to tie that into when we expand that rear parking back there, but I think it's pretty tight. I'm
Yeah.
not sure why it was put in so narrow.
Well, if I go back there with my big truck, I'd take the whole road.
Yeah, you can't, it's not two ways.
No. So, okay, we are working on that. I did receive a letter
Got it figured out.
from the Donahue family, and if you want me to just read this. Okay, it says, for more than 8 decades, medicine in the small town of Georgetown, Ohio was shaped by the steady presence of 2 men bound not only by profession, but by blood, Doctors John and Jeff Donahue. Dr. John Donahue and his wife Betty were both natives of Georgetown and graduates of GHS. Following completion of medical school at the University of Cincinnati, they returned to their hometown where Dr. John opened his medical practice in 1951. He and Dr. Domer held office hours from 9 to 12 and again from 7 to 9 in the Domer building on North Main Street. Dr. John spent a great deal of time making house calls and caring for patients at the Brown County General Hospital. Patients who were unable to financially afford his care would pay for services with such things as produce, livestock, and antiques. Many of his patients remember his calm demeanor, sense of humor, and ever-present pipe. Dr. John later moved his office to Cherry Street, where he continued his practice until his retirement in 1987. Years later, in 1984, Dr. John's son, Dr. Jeff Donahue, along with wife Carol, returned home after medical school at UC and residency at Miami Valley Hospital, choosing the same small town practice over larger hospitals and brighter lights. Working side by side with his dad, Dr. Jeff brought modern treatment and technology to the practice while maintaining the values he had grown up watching: patience, humility, and an unwavering commitment to care. Together and across generations, the Donahue doctors treated many of the families in town. They stitched little league injuries, managed chronic illnesses, and comforted families at the end of life. Some patients remember being delivered and cared for by the father and later cared for by the son. Both Dr. John and Dr. Jeff were longtime members of the GHS Exempted Village School Board. Both served as physicians for the Brown County Jail, and both served as coroner for Brown County. Both will be remembered for services that are rarely available in most communities today, such as making house calls and being available to patients day and night. When Dr. Jeff finally retired in 2025, the office closed quietly, yet its legacy carried on in stories and gratitude from the people of Georgetown. For over 80 years, a father and son had proven that the heart of medicine isn't in buildings or equipment, but in trust, continuity of care, and a deep devotion to community. Dr. John and Dr. Jeff's patients, they were more than physicians, they were neighbors, confidants, and friends. So, now we need to figure out how we would like to possibly do something in honor of both of them.
Thoughts? That was a very well-written letter, by the way.
Oh, you wrote that?
I wish.
You didn't use AI Data Center, did you?
No,
Okay.
I received this from the family.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, we certainly can do a proclamation, right? We can bring them to a meeting, we can do a proclamation. We could do, that's just one thing. I think that would be definitely one thing we should do, regardless of anything else that we do. Things that we've done in the past, we can do plaques, awards, we can name a street. Travis, what else have you've witnessed?
Well, something that's kind of happening here in town that we're about to see at a trial basis, we're getting the mural on the end of the coffee loft building that's gonna be vinyl, which is about 1/10 of what a painted mural would be. So, it's something that we could consider as a village doing. If we had a place where we could hang, one of these and rotate it every year or two for somebody that we wanted to honor, that might be something that we could explore. Once we see how this banner holds up, because it's basically going to be a vinyl, but it's going to look like a mural on the side of the building. So that's something we could consider. It would be neat to be able to do a revolving mural somewhere, but that's an expense every time you paint that.
So there's a way to put that passively on a building, that's another option.
If you want to do the street name, because they have, Blair Road back there, I think there's only their house and maybe 2 or 3 more.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that probably be minimal as long as those folks were okay, obviously with the, if we would rename the street and what goes along with that, but.
That's a pretty good street, yeah, I didn't even think about that, cause I think there are only 4
Yeah,
or
it's
5.
dead end street back there, so I mean, that'd be somewhat minimal back there, so.
We do have 2 streets with that name in town, so that would fix the problem
Right,
too.
true.
I like that, I actually really like that, because that's their family farm area.
And somebody still lives in that house there. A relative, I don't remember who exactly, but
It's not a bad idea, what's this council think? Are we leaning toward anything? We're still thinking.
I would think the proclamation and the street name would be good, you know, because they've lived there for a
Mhm.
long time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they've always lived there. And I think it's his granddaughter Penny that.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
I could run, take the ideas that we have and run it by them and see if they have any idea or,
I mean, I'd rather present them with an idea, like, here's what we want to do, like, don't you think that's, instead of like, what do you want us to do for you, like, here's what we want to do for you. Maybe I'm thinking at it wrong, but I think it would be better for us to decide and then just concur with them, hey, is this okay?
yeah, okay, that,
Cause the opposite seems a little wonky.
yeah, that proclamation. Donahue Way or Donahue something,
Drive.
On the
Donahue
drive.
Drive.
And then we could give them the proclamation, which is just a typed document, and then we could always order an extra sign as a memento for them, or a couple extra signs.
Sure.
Probably. And then what do we have to do to get the approval from the homeowners? So
You
that,
can reach out to them by letter, just get their approval and then you just pass the resolution. 3 houses, you said?
I think there's
4 or 5.
3 or 4, I mean,
Kelly
it's,
Jones lives back there.
yeah,
right?
it's him and there's, I think there's one on either side, so there's no more than 5 back there.
Hessler, Kelly Hessler lives back there. Nobody lives back in Louderback's place, do they?
I don't think so. I think they just farm back there, but I don't think anybody's living there that I know of. I could be wrong.
Okay. Are we in a bit of a consensus there? So next steps, we would have Travis and Joe kind of work on
You can do it right.
doing the letters.
Once we find out that that's appropriate with the family.
Yes, and that too as well. So make sure that they would be okay with that. Proclamation and a street name change. And if they have a preference on what the name, I mean, sounds like we were kind of saying Donahue Drive, but if they come up with a snazzier name.
Okay.
Yeah, J Donahue Drive, I mean, it covers both. Yeah, okay. We good on that one?
So
Alright,
I'll reach out.
perfect. Councilmember Ring, anything additional?
No, that's it.
Alright, Councilmember Baki, anything for the group tonight?
Just one thing, I was contacted by Georgetown Youth Sports Organization, which is kind of the umbrella for the softball and the baseball for back there. I know at one time they had asked the village to maybe purchase a vehicle to help them drag diamonds, which for liability purposes, we couldn't. We told them the possibility of a building maybe, so I was contacted that they now have purchased a 4-wheeler. Also, I was told it is insured. And they were interested in us providing some kind of a structure to keep that back there for them, which would be a good idea in my opinion too, because I know some people that coach have to take their personal vehicle out onto the park and the grounds and stuff like that, so That was something I had spoken to Sean Crawford, was the one who reached out to me. I told Sean I would reach out to the village to see if that's something that council would be interested in doing. I don't think they need anything that's over the top, just something probably big enough to keep their quad in and whatever dragging equipment is, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much it back there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they'd moved the drag inside, or at least probably, maybe in the winter.
Winter time.
There you
So,
go. Yeah, unless council objects, I could move, I mean, that certainly would be within my, spending authority. I checked on, you know, basically, a small shed's gonna run between 2,500 and 5,000, so, you know, I think we get something big enough for them to store the four-wheeler plus some equipment, you know, and I think 5,000 would be more than enough to manage that, so.
so we need to make a motion that effect for you, okay?
Unless there's an objection.
Keep me from having to go drag them. I drug them last year. My son was a coach. While he was working, Dad, go drag the diamond.
I will move forward.
Sounds good. Alright, solicitor, anything for the group tonight?
Not tonight.
Travis, anything additional?
I have nothing additional this evening.
Alright, well, as you will see on your agenda, we do have a motion here to go into executive session, so if somebody would like to make that motion.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Pursuant
To Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G3 to consult with council regarding pending or imminent court action.
Sounds good. Councilmember Pringle has made the motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Second provided by Councilmember Baki. Tara, roll call.
Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
Councilmember Keith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pringle, yes, Councilmember Ring,
Yes.
Councilmember Buck.
Yes.
Alright, motion passes. So, Albert, are you staying around? Or are you
No, I'll go ahead and leave. There's nothing else going on afterwards, is there?
nothing planned? So we'll just stay in here, guys, and then George, you're good? Thank you.
I'll be over from the
Alright, we appreciate you.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you, Albert.
Right.